10. All right, without any further ado, now to hand the microphone over to my dear friend, Melissa Ortiz. She is the CEO of Activate Human Capital Group. She's a master of culture, talent, and all things related to creating stickiness inside of your organization by caring for your people. And today, she's going to share with us some strategies around a really essential tool for culture building and employee retention, and that is the power of recognition. So Melissa, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screens, invite you to start sharing your screen.
Okay,
and grab the microphone.
Ma'am. See.
And now I can see all your beautiful faces again.
And that's a win too. Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. I am passionate about eradicating this square peg round hole behavior that we see in the workplace, both for-profit and nonprofit, because it does a disservice to our customers, our teams, our organizations, and the individuals who we put in those mismatched opportunities. So my background is I've been doing this work for the last 15 years, aligning talent in organizations. So most of my team worked for the Gallup organization. So we were kind of all raised there in their Houston, San Francisco, and Omaha offices, and just loved the background in employee engagement, customer engagement, talent alignment to roles, making sure our aptitudes match the demands of the roles, and then team development using the Strengths Finder and using predictive index for those as well. So I love this work. I've spent my life doing it. I think the real benefit that I have seen over the long haul is that there's a mutual benefit for the person and the organization. So when we get right people, right role, and we inspire them to perform, they're also leaving work more energized, with more energy for their family, their community, their physical well-being, their faith, whatever's important to them. Everybody wins. And so to me, that's been such a calling and has been really motivating over that time. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, I've been involved or led 6 different startups, 3 of which we've had successful exits from, 3 are still in the works. So I love the entrepreneurial energy. I love working with founders and that growth stage. I've also been, if you're familiar with the Entrepreneurs Organization, I was a founding member of the College Station, Texas branch, and before I moved to the Sacramento area. And we're also running our business on EOS. So I speak a lot of the languages that many of you speak, and it's been fun to really start to segment my business in this space, because it's a whole lot more fun than a 25,000 person organization that we're running an employee engagement survey for in 52 languages and 49 countries. It's I feel like I can move the needle more quickly, which has been fun to watch. And if I've seen anything in the last 15 years, it's that this one statement captures everything that our employees and volunteers want from us, whether they're an intern, whether we run a nonprofit church, whatever it is. If we capture the fact that everyone wants to be a valued member of a winning team on an inspiring mission, and we can deliver that, we will have team members for life. We will have recruiters for life. We will have people out there being brand ambassadors for us. So I'm going to read it again and go through it. So I want to be valued members of a winning team on an inspiring mission. And that inspiring mission, I think, is what the Great Resignation was really all about. From what I could see, was people looked around and said, life's too short. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to go do something that I think actually adds value to the world, not just collects a paycheck. And the amount of people we saw actually take pay cuts to go do that was fascinating, because it wasn't just about the money. And we want to be on a winning team. Even people who aren't particularly competitive by nature, that energy that comes with a winning team that's doing inspiring work is just tangible. And then that valued members portion is really about, do my aptitudes match what I'm being asked to do every day? Can I bring my best self to work? Or am I having to modify my behaviors to be what they need me to be, which then takes a lot of my energy that I could use to produce? So knowing that there's a whole world of talent optimization out there, I thought for a short conversation like this, recognition might be a really good one. It's free. You don't need some fancy software to recognize your people. And I think the tone I wanted to start with was, when we aren't getting enough recognition, it's likely that we aren't giving out enough as well. And as busy as we get, sometimes that falls off the radar. I know our operations people tend to be a little more, I say it, stingy with their recognition. You have to earn it, right? And when you've gotten recognition from me, you'll know you really earned it. And we have to find ways to honor that sincerity, but pair it with a little more frequency, so that we don't lose people that we've spent so much time and energy bringing up to speed. So I think that my favorite recognition quote is really the Mark Twain. I can live 2 months on a good compliment, because when you receive something that's very specific to you, the one I received last week was, I was going through a deck of values cards with a girlfriend of mine, you know, the ones you take like a deck of 50 values and you sort them down to your top 5. And she looked at mine and she said, "You really live these. Are you aware how aligned your world is with your values?" And I said, "That's a huge compliment to me, because I've worked a long time to get there. And the fact that you noticed that quickly meant a lot to me." So when we think about recognizing people, I've got a couple things I want to keep in mind. So this SUV acronym, special, understood, and valued. We know we've hit the mark when we've made someone feel special, understood, really seen, and valued. It's totally different than a thumbs up, good job, or a pat on the back. What we need to do to get there is to be very specific and very timely. So the difference between, "Hey, good work today," as you're on your way out the door, and stopping someone to say, "The way you handled that irate customer and brought them back down to earth and then helped them through the issue they actually were dealing with was masterful. Keep up the great work." Totally different tone in what they receive. One sounds like a platitude. One is, you see me, you hear me, and you actually saw what went on today. So keep those in mind as you think about making more efforts. You know, we start off the year with good intentions. One of those good intentions is to share more gratitude that we're feeling, because we all feel it. It's just that taking the time to come around, because we know that the results are huge. The return on investment in a small, free effort to recognize someone helps people feel like they want to go above and beyond. It kind of unlocks that volunteerism in roles between the, "I have to come to work and I'm doing what you pay me to do," and that extra discretionary effort of, "Well, I saw what needed doing over here and I made a new process for this and I made some efficiency improvements over here." We can't pay enough for people to do those things. They have to be on that want to curve rather than the have to curve of performance over time, which then makes them more invested and want to stay, right? So we're investing in retention, we're investing in performance just by giving people specific and meaningful, timely feedback on what they're doing well, catching them doing work right. Unfortunately, on the flip side, most employees do not feel that they are receiving meaningful recognition. This one specifically is a stat around people who don't feel they've received any form of recognition for good work in the last year. That's rough. No recognition. What I will tell you from doing this work so long is it isn't that no one has said good job. It's no one has made an effort to make something that sticks. I was working with a team this week doing feedback on employee engagement surveys, and we were asking about the best recognition you've ever received, whether it's at this company, prior company, even outside of work. And I had 2 people in one team say, "You know, I just feel invisible." And to watch the feedback on that manager's face, to hear a team member say they feel invisible, and that's a long-term employee, was like a dagger to the heart. It's like, she's a great manager. She really worked hard for her people, but for whatever reason, that's not translating. So finding a way to speak their language is highly valuable. So when we think about what happens when they're not feeling recognized, they're much more likely to feel burnout. We have a huge epidemic around people who are feeling that sustained moderate to severe burnout right now. They're also much more likely to leave. And 44% of people cite that's the reason they're leaving the organizations right now. That's a stat from last year. It's because you don't even see me. So what am I doing here? So I'd love to give you a moment to reflect on who on your team really is deserving. And God forbid I put a few extra to-do list items on your list, because I know most of us operate that way. But I do want you to take a moment and think about, is there something I could do to show how much I appreciate, you know, the person who goes above and beyond for their team or customers? Who is that? Jot that name down. Who's showing exceptional dedication and commitment to the organization right now? Who's putting in place new processes? Who's really going above and beyond, looking for new customer segments or modifying products and services to fit a new demographic? Who on your team is proactive at leveling up their skills that they bring to the table? They're taking Excel classes, they're going to night school. They're really trying to get better for us, for their own future, for their customers, for their teams, who's leveling up and needs to be appreciated for that. And then last but not least, I want you to jot down someone who isn't performing at a high level, but could probably really use some extra encouragement. Maybe they really fit our value set. Maybe they're not quite in the right role yet, but we know that they belong here and we want to keep them connected to the organization. Okay, so as you kind of mull over those folks on your team, I thought a lot of the recognition work is just a reminder to do what we know is meaningful to team members. So I have a couple ideas here that might jog your memory or some new efforts. One is making recognition easy, something that's meaningful. So I have a couple clients who will create just a shared Google Doc. And they'll put in everybody, they'll have everybody enter their favorite sports team, their favorite drink, where do they like to go to lunch, what's a hobby, their favorite color, anything that might, the favorite candy. So we know that Meg really likes hot tamales. If I want to do something that's like, hey, thanks for helping out with that thing I just wasn't quite getting. Thanks for taking the extra time with me. I'm going to put a little box of hot tamales and a sticky note on her desk. Doesn't have to be a bunch of fanfare, but it unlocks the fact that instead of nobody knowing that I don't drink coffee and then they give me a Starbucks gift card, I'm like, thanks for nothing. That helps us be specific and meaningful, because this recognition shouldn't be a top-down effort. While 25% of people out there say the most meaningful recognition they ever received was from the CEO, that doesn't mean the CEO should be the only one giving recognition, right? We need to make this a culture that we all do this for and with each other. The second idea is just make it a task. It sounds arbitrary and lame to put it on your list or put it on your calendar, like, who did you recognize this week? But if that's the way our brains already operate, let's just honor that and put it on the list, put it on our calendar so that it has a higher probability of getting done and not getting lost in the shuffle. And my third one is really around specificity. So when we start to learn what's perfect for someone, our in return on that investment of time and energy that we made hits the mark more often. So I've got a tool I want to share with you that really parses out what's uncomfortable and unacceptable, or makes me kind of like heebie-jeebies, versus what's perfect for me and will really hit the mark in a meaningful way. So this is something we'll be sending you after the session. You can use this in person, you can use it virtually, you can use it with a team or one-on-one. Any of these is fair game. It's gonna make a great team activity to have everybody do this and then brief everyone on what's perfect for me and what makes me yucky. And it's really great for us as managers to keep in our back pocket to say, when Chris does something really well, what would be meaningful? How could I show that appreciation? So you have a couple columns. What's unacceptable? No, thank you. Acceptable is meh, go ahead. It probably won't stick with me, but I would appreciate being appreciated. And then perfect for me is where we want to spend as much energy as we can hitting that mark. So if you're someone who keeps every handwritten note you've ever received, that's something I want to know, because I'm going to make sure I spend an extra few minutes, even if it's a Post-it note, handwriting something out. Hey, you really rock. The way you handled that was superb. What I see mostly right now is a lot of our employee population is very focused on these growth-based expressions of appreciation. They want to get better. They want to level up. They want to earn more money and they want to earn more accolades, but they want to earn it. So when we invest in their growth, who are we really investing in? Everyone. The whole organization benefits from that. So that's a very reinforcing and validating space. I've had people say just this week, one of them said, my ideal recognition is a set of Lakers tickets. 2 guys down, he said, all I really want is permission to take a day off, $100 in gas money, and go fishing. That's like my pinnacle of recognition. I've had people say, I want a statue in my honor. One team member I had, Becky, said she wanted her face on a kite. Of all things, that would never have occurred to me as an ideal form of recognition. But by God, one day she was like big hair blonde, and we found a Barbie kite and we put her face on it. And she was like, this is amazing, best recognition ever. So it's funny. Everyone is so unique in the way that they like to be recognized. So when we can start to understand if there's a type of recognition that's meaningful, we can group our efforts there. We also want to know about what audience matters. So if it's private, some people are very private. I just want a pat on the back and more responsibility. Some people are no touch me. I don't want a high five, a hug, or a pat on the back. I just want verbally to know I'm doing a good job and I'm hitting the mark. And then other people want their customers, internal or external customers, to know they're really owning it. And especially our younger population want their family to know. You didn't invest in my college degree for nothing. Look, mom, I'm hitting it out of the park today. So using this with your team, I think will hopefully pay dividends. I would love to hear back how it goes. And I really encourage you to use this additional notes for what would total perfection look like. What does that have? How does that all come together? So my challenge for 2023 for all of you is to give more gold stars, to make appreciation a priority, not just at work, but personally, for your family members, your friends, your employees. And I put this note for me, mostly for my mother-in-law, because she needs it too. Recognition is just a one-way pay it forward street that really leads to improved morale, retention, engagement, and growth. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens as we all make more groundswell effort, because this is one of those topics that's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Same with all these elements of employee engagement, talent-based role alignment. And so thank you for your time. I hope this has been a useful nugget of encouragement this year. And I'd love to hear from you as you start to put some of these tools in place and see productivity with them.
Awesome.
Thanks, y'all.
Well, don't quit your slides yet. Oh,
Okay.
Melissa, share that screen one more time,
Okay.
because I have a feeling some people want to jot down your contact info or screenshot it. So I want them to have a moment to do that, everybody, while you give Melissa a virtual round of applause. Melissa, I seriously, honestly, authentically want to recognize you. You are a gifted speaker, and you definitely showed up today as a top integrator community pep talk, TED Talk provider. So this was so timely and inspiring as we jump into a brand new year. And I'm really grateful for your friendship and all the good work you're doing in this entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I really encourage any of you that are on this call to consider engaging Melissa. I don't usually plug our speakers, but she's really, truly one of a kind. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your slide a little extra